Hey, what's going on, guys? Coach Jerry here with Biohacking Truth. We deliver health freedom and we unleash human potential. And we do that by root sourcing the cause. All right. So we root cause the source. All right. Or we source the root cause. You know what I mean? All right. So, and a lot of times people that have issues that come see us, um, they're dealing with pain, a lot of pain. And it all boils down to generally a lack of infant development. So, as I spoke in the past, infant development, if you look at any infant, as they're crawling around or they're navigating their world via the floor, right? They start out slithering. Actually, they start out, they can't even hold their head up, right? So they're doing this. So mom and dad literally got to support everything. And then pretty soon they develop the neck strength to be able to hold their head up. And pretty soon they develop the arm and back strength to be able to push themselves up off the ground. And pretty soon they get strong enough to be able to pull themselves up and then get into like a lunge position. And then they're able to squat. So you see them bouncing in a squat. And then eventually they become able to walk. And so walking, gait, is a culmination of all the infant development phases coming together, our body becoming synchronized and then integrating so that we can do the very challenging demand on our body, which is bipedal gait, right? It's very hard. There's a reason why most animals haven't been created or evolved to gait bipedally. It's just very difficult. All right. So, and what I see with a lot of my clients and prospects is just this lack of infant development. And so they've gotten themselves to where they've kind of regressed to a point where they're not really ready for gait. Right. And, I say that because of how they posture. So literally gravity is overtaking some people. We've got this posture going on here, a lot of this chin poke with the rounded shoulders, right, going on. And that is just your body not withholding gravity well. All right. So you're going more towards a quadruped, right? Four points of contact to the ground in your gait than you are 2 points. Okay. So your body's like trying to go to quadruped. Right. So we see this a lot. And one of the best exercises for infant development is the inchworm. And I'm going to show you the inchworm here. I made a quick little video. So the inchworm is something that we use to slither around on the ground. And, it doesn't, you usually don't see babies doing quite the same exercises you're about to see here in the inchworm, but it really mimics everything. So we're getting all the planes of motion. So we're getting in the sagittal plane, we're getting in the frontal plane, we're getting in the transverse plane. We've got spinal extension, we've got spinal flexion, and we've got spinal side flexion, but we're doing this all on a safe plane, okay? Because we're on the ground, we can't overextend or overflex. All right, so here we go. So as you see here, I'm just doing a little warm up. So if you look right here, I'm starting to move. Now, what I've got here is I've got my eyes looking up. Okay. I'm posted up on this shoulder blade, and on my back hip, or my right hip here, I'm posted up on that. Everything on my left side is off the ground. So my spine is arched up off the ground. I'm using my neck, right, to reach, and my eyes are looking at something in the distance here. So it's very important the eyes are tied in with the spinal extension here. So as I'm extending my spine, my eyes are going up. And then when I go into this flexion here, I'm tucking my chin, my eyes are going down, and then I'm about ready to reach up here. Good. So I'll let it play on here for a minute, but I'll describe to you what's happening. So if you take a look at my head here, so I'm going into full extension, and then into full extension, I'm doing a chin tuck. So I'm getting the full extension. Okay, there's a huge difference between that and this, right? This is an extension. I'm here, my spine's extended. I'm extending my neck like this in an extended and turned position. I'm tucking my chin. Okay, so that creates the spinal extension that's working those deep spinal cervical muscles, and you're creating that shape of that lordotic shape in your neck, and you're reinforcing it through active traction and strengthening. So again, here I've got side flexion in my spine here, so a little side bend going on here. I've got side flexion down below with my hips, right? And I've got cervical extension, and it's going to go into cervical extension with the chin tuck. Okay, almost to flexion, but not quite to flexion. So just a reminder, this is extension and this is flexion. So your spine, your entire spine from your cervical all the way down through your tailbone, right? All those segments of the spine, they need to be able to go into flexion and extension safely, but not spend too much time in either one of those positions. That's how we create imbalances. So if you look here, I'm going into side flexion and transverse plane movement, which is the twist. All right. And my eyes are following my hands as I go into extension and chin tuck, mimicking flexion. So all of my deep intrinsic muscles near my spine, near my cervical spine, near my lumbar spine, all my multifidus, okay, they're all having to work and integrate with my entire body. Good. Notice I'm not using my feet or anything. It's just my head and my spinal slithering. All right, now we're going to do another version of the inchworm here. But if you notice on that first version of the inchworm, with all that reaching and all that twisting and all that turning, everything has got to be balanced, right? In my cervical spine, in my lumbar spine, and even in my thoracic spine. So everything has got to be balanced in there. And if it's not, what you'll see is you'll see someone doing like circles, okay? Or they just won't move. All right, now here we're going to do, this is another inchworm. So I'm slithering back with the inchworm. Now this is very much working those suboccipital muscles, right? Those deep cervical flexors, even the sternocleidomastoid here, right? So we've got to be able to have that curve in our neck while we're still tucking our chin, right? And that requires a lot of strength here and stability in the neck. And if our deep intrinsic neck muscles aren't doing their job, then all that stability demand transfers out to the big spinal muscles or the big neck muscles, and those big neck muscles aren't so good at creating that nice shape, right? That comes from segmental stability and segmental strength. Okay, so segmental would be by each individual vertebrae, and global would be like a big chunk, like the lumbar spine. So if you think about what happens to a lot of people, we get chunked, right? So we might have our neck doing one thing, like a straight neck here, right? Or maybe we've gotten this going on or whatever. But if that's the case, right? There's almost an impossible chance for segmental stability and strength and mobility and proprioception. Those are all very important. Those little tiny muscles, they communicate right to our brain. They tell us where our vertebrae are in space. And if we've got it chunked up, meaning we got some of those intrinsic muscles shut off, right, it's not going to communicate with the brain like it should. And then we'll have postural deficiencies, which is an infant development deficiency, which means we need to build that back up so we can get through the gait phase. And gait leads to lunging and squatting and pushing and pulling and twisting and bending safely. All that. All right, so here we go. So just pay attention. I'm looking and tucking. Look at my eyes, and then they go straight down, looking and tucking. So I'm creating this nice little arch with my spine, and I got a side view for you here as well that you're going to see. But I'm just using this to slither on down. My head is actually pushing. So here's another view. But on that last one, you guys saw that back slither. My head is actually pulling my body across. That's how strong your neck is, right? And with that arch, I'm creating this compressed body, right? Because I'm laying flat, and then I arch everything, and that compresses me. And then I use my head, right, to pull me in here. And then as I unfold, I lengthen out. So that's how the slither happens. All right. So one more time, we're gonna I'm just gonna play this, and you can watch this in action. So all the movement's happening with my head. It's not happening with the shoulder. Notice how I'm keeping my shoulder off the ground to let my head do the work. I've got quite a bit of mobility here. So this might look kind of weird to some of you guys, and a lot of you won't have this mobility in your neck, but you'll get it. See how everything's driving off of that hip. So I'm using, let's back that up a couple seconds. So if you can see here, right, we've got everything on this side of the body, this lateral side, lateral left side, right, is posted down. And everything I'm pushing off of my hip, I'm using the slither effect, right? That side serpentine motion of the spine, which mimics gait. When we walk, we have this natural twist to our shoulder blades, which keeps mobilized in the C7, T1 area, right? Where a lot of us get stuck there from this forward head posture. So that being immobile is going to affect your ability to do this move properly. But really, it's just a total body move. And here we go. We got the back slither again. You see what happens with my body, see? A lot of us are lacking this lumbar curve, and I could do much better here. So my thoracic is a bit flat. I used to have a rounded thoracic. I overworked it, and I got it a bit flat. That's it. That's the inchworm, guys. Give it a try. It's a lot of fun, and it could be really frustrating, especially if you guys are experienced in the gym, if you're used to doing all sorts of, big lifts, if you're used to doing compound movements and things like that, and particularly if you've developed a large amount of strength, but maybe you're experiencing immobility, maybe you're experiencing joint aches, maybe you're experiencing back pain, anything like that, it could just be a lack of infant development. So, you might benefit from breaking yourself down a little bit, working from the inside out, which is what we do with folks. So, if you're finding that's the case, if you're strong in the gym, but you have to take long layoffs due to pain or tightness or inability to recover, really test your infant development. The inchworm is about the best test you can do to test your body's overall ability, overall readiness for gait. And then if you find that you just can't do that movement, then you're probably missing some sort of segmental stability, segmental stabilization, whatever the case may be. But if you got a big chunk of your spine that's got those deep intrinsic muscles turned off, right, and they're not able to propriocept, they're not able um, to adequately stabilize the vertebrae and the disc, and they're not able to mobilize in an integrated way with the body, you're going to experience weird chunky type movements. So if that's you and you're experiencing pain, there's a high likelihood that could be the root source, or the root cause of your pain. Okay, that could be the source, is just lacking infant development. All right, I hope you guys found that valuable. And if you have any questions or comments, please reach out to me at any time, Jerry@biohackingtruth.com. And if you're dealing with immobility, if you're dealing with pain, if you're dealing with uh, longer recovery times, like delayed recovery times from your workouts, reach out to us. This is what we do. You can change the shape of the spine really fast. But if you continue to load the spine on a body that isn't fully developed or adequate in its infant development phase, then you're just asking for injury. You just are. If you've got segments of your spine that have some of those deep intrinsic muscles shut off, and combined with inadequate stabilizing system, like global stabilizing system, that's where pain really comes in. And having a good global stabilizing system can get you by for a little while. If you've heard of Dr. Stuart McGill, he's a great back pain expert. But in my opinion, his work really lacks depth because it's just about getting you out of pain. And so he's a big proponent of global stabilization. He uses bracing. And that is a ideology you're going to run across out there. But I can tell you from clinical experience, from firsthand experience, that although a method like that will get you out of pain, your ability to thrive and participate in life exactly how you want to will be severely compromised. There's a huge difference between just being out of pain and being mobile and athletic. There's a huge difference. So segmental stability is where it's at. Segmental strength to lead into global mobility, global strength is where it's at. You got to build yourself up from the ground up, just like babies do, right? If the global stabilization and global mobility and global strength was a real thing, we wouldn't develop like we do as infants. We wouldn't worry about having those deep intrinsic muscles develop like they do. We wouldn't have to suckle on a bottle, right, to develop our neck muscles, right? So if you don't breastfeed a baby, right, if you spoon fed a baby, like if that was possible, if you were like spoon fed a baby from the mush from the time it was born, it would never develop those neck muscles to hold its head up. It develops it through suckling, right? It's laying in mom's lap, it's tucking its chin, and it's suckling. It's developing those deep intrinsic neck muscles. And then on the ground, lifting his head up, looking around, laying on the ground, rolling over, grabbing things, right? That's how they develop. And that's how we need to develop too. If we've lost that development, if we've de-evolved, right, in our physical body, we can't just jump in there and go right to, phase 5 exercises, right? The stuff that's designed for athletes, really, right? If we've lost our infant development, we got to build it from the ground up. That might be a bruise to your ego, but it's a lot better. It's a lot better for your ego in about 3 months when you're able to do whatever the hell you want in the gym, as opposed to working around your pain and your stuck spots. All right. Peace, much love, live well. Reach out at anytime, Jerry@biohackingtruth.com. You can reach me direct, 406-241-3763. All right. Peace, much love, and live well. See you guys.